Hi, second years. I can address some of the difficulties I had in class. I claimed in class that this model was faulty or needed addressing. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't suit my criteria. I will show you very quickly how I got it to be more suitable, although not completely. So I'll just roll this back. I'm going to hide the main body. I'm going to show this item here. What I did is the three planes that I'd earlier set up, I created a fourth one. Just a reminder of how to do that. You can go from use any plane and hold the control button down while it's selected and drag it out, and then you can fill in the dimension on the left hand side. Alternatively, fill it in afterwards as it fills it in. So I'm going to leave that plane out of the way, and then in the surface I added the second sketch. You can grab a sketch by just clicking on it, saying Control C, and then clicking on the plane that you want it to be on and saying Control V. Right, so that should appear there. I think it's just duplicated, but in any case, it's that same sketch. And what I've done with all of these sketches is I've rationalized them. I've gotten rid of the fillets, and I've restricted them all to being 90 millimeters wide, and then that they meet that backbone curve, that one there. And what I did after that is I added this fillet. You do that in the surfaces command bar. This command here, fillet, and then you fill it as you would normally do with a solid. All right, so let's just roll to the bottom and hide this one. Sorry, we need to show that one and hide this one. Okay, so this is what we've got. One way to check to see that you are getting what you are looking for is to do an evaluate. So go to curvature, and all of the solid colors are regular geometric features. All of the ones with shade are not. So in this case, that surface is not regular. You can see it's shading from gray to blue. And this one here, the one that I want to be flat, is not flat because it's shading from blue to black. So that's a good way of just making sure that you don't waste time in your drawing doing what I did. Okay, so here are my three views. Just a quick reminder, and also to deal with some of the problems. Remember that I couldn't get a center line very easily. So the problem is, if you don't have some sort of regular feature, and this compound curve is not regular, all of the features that are derived from it. So in other words, all of these internal lines, every single one around here, are unusable as things to dimension off. Mostly, okay. So the centerline one, the centerline annotation, this one here, not the normal centerline, you can get, as long as you use a feature or part of the drawing, which is not going to be part of that compound surface. So these two here are not. So I can go to centerline and I can say select view, and it'll put one in for me. There it is. It's very small, but that's fine. You can drag it out. Okay, the same would apply to the vertical center line. I would have to select this bottom line. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure I got the right one. Zoom out. So I've got a space mouse. That's why I'm able to navigate very fast. And we'll go to center line, select view, and you see it puts it in. Okay, so I'm not going to put in center line. I will put in 3 datum features just to reinforce that this is the process. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my datums are in place. I should have, if you don't have the circle, the little center marks, just put them in. So just click on, say, center mark. You should be able to select this bottom circle. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then from those, just to reinforce the idea, position first. So there's 1, and then let's see if we can get this right. I don't think it's going to work because it's preset. Ah, it has. Okay. So with those 2 in place, I can now go to doing size dimensions. And remember, to do the size dimension, we want a section view. So that was the first problem after establishing the center lines that I faced. Section view. Now, you can do a section view like this. I'll show you two slight alternatives. So one thing you can do is when you put this in place, don't worry about the rib features. I'll explain that later. You can, I think it's in here, do a partial section, and then let's just see if that does it. No, it hasn't done it. All right, so never mind about that. So that would be the standard way of doing it. Let me show you a slightly different way. So in section view, instead of going to a cutting line going all the way across, you can go to half section and then select the one which is appropriate. In this case, top side right would be right. And then here, make sure that this bottom line, in this case, the horizontal line, it might be different depending on what you're trying to achieve. Make sure it comes beneath the feature you want to sections, because if I go in there, I'm only going to get a section, a quarter of that, or sort of a half of that feature, and I want the whole feature. Just make sure it lines up with that center line, drag it down, okay, and then once again just say okay, drag this across. Right, so you can see here it's only sectioned that bit, it hasn't sectioned the other half. Yes, we want to bump up the scale 2 to 1, and then right click on here, break alignment, so that we can drag this down, and then we're going to do a breakout view, no, crop view. So here you do need a sketch of some sort. Thing to be careful of, be careful you don't select another view, because if you do this and then you crop, it's going to crop that view completely. So watch out for that. So that sketch is definitely associated with the top view. Select chain, delete it. So let's do that again. Right, so I know that this sketch is going to be associated with this view. Okay, and then we can go to view layout, crop view, and it's done it. Okay, so that line there represents this line here, that one there, and it's ready to be dimensioned. All right, so we have to introduce these. So it's not that, it's line. Hold the shift button down. Okay, so that's a virtual sharp number 1. Let's just get this in place, and then that'll be virtual sharp number 2. And before we put in a diameter, let's just get a center line going. So it'll be annotation, center line, select view. All right, and so this is crucial for helping the viewer understand that that line corresponds with that center point, or well, that one there. And then we can put some dimensions in. So this should be quite easy. You just click where the two would meet, those two little pointers, and then you get this item here, and then we need to make sure it indicates a diameter, so put that in like that. And then the other ones we would now indicate are these ones here, right? So no matter what I do, because these have been sliced at the top by that surface, I can't get a radius. So sometimes you will find that you've got like a tangent line in here. You should be able to get what that item is. You can also, if you're very clever, go to your actual full model and find where this item is. It's not showing it. And then just see what that fillet is. So I'm not sure where that is. I'm just going to hop across to my model. It's much easier. Here I can select the fillet. It'll tell me at the bottom. Seems not to, but there we go. There's that dimension. That's 2, and this one here is also 2 as far as I know. There we go. It says radius 2, and this one here I think is a bit bigger in my case. So that's 2.8. Right, with that knowledge in mind, we can dimension this by just using the note. So I'm going to wait till that little leader appears and then type in R. It's a radius, not a diameter. and then another one over here, and that's all you need. Do not put another one in here because this is part of a circle, so that radius goes all the way around, and that radius there goes around the entire model. So you only need one dimension. Putting any more than one dimension in to indicate that fillet, or either of these two fillets, would be a matter of being what's the word again? Redundant. Being redundant. Okay. The only other two dimensions you can do in this drawing, in this view, and should do, are this height here. Remember that line there, or that plane, is a datum, so you must indicate all heights from that datum. So there to this one here. And if this were not as complex a model, that would round off to 11, but in this case, because it isn't, that's the best I can do. I'm not going to be too strict about that because it's quite a tricky model to dimension. And I'm looking only that you understand the difference between position dimensions, which you must have first, and size dimensions, which you can then place in later. So these are all size dimensions. Every one of those are size dimensions. All right, so that covers that. And then the next thing we want to cover is I'm going to create a new view by saying Control-C, Control-V. And then this view here, I'm going to convert. Seems not. Let's delete that. Let's see. Nope, we can't. All right. If the view you're getting here is not giving you, if you're not being given the option of changing what the view is, just do this. No, that's not going to work either. So I'm not sure why this is not working. Let's try that again. Control-C, Control-V. Okay, so there's obviously, this is not a derived view. Well, that must be the primary view. I've done something funny here. Okay, so that's a good point. Okay, so in fact, this here is derived from another view, and I'm not sure, somewhere along the line I derived it from something. So that's why it's not showing the 6 views that are available. What I'm going to have to do is just introduce that view again by going to Model View, selecting handle 2, I think that's the one, double click, and putting that in here. All right, so that's my actual proper view. You can see it gives me all of the alternative views to use. I'm going to drag this down here, and I'm going to make it into isometric. And so now we're going to deal with this one here, broken out section. That does work in these views as well. I'll show you how. So I'm going to do something simple with a circle, and with that selected, I'm going to say broken out section, and here it's going to ask you to what point. So that depth there is like what point on this drawing do you want the section to go to. Some of these will highlight, but they won't select. In this case, it's because of the model. So that one will select, so it should give me, there we go. So it's actually sectioned to that point, okay? Not very useful because you don't have any way of referencing where the section view comes from. So it's really just to show stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see. It's not really a good way. In fact, I'd advise against doing any dimensioning off that view. Here's where it's most useful. Go to the sketch. I could have used a circle. All right, so that's drawn. Let's just have a look here. Broken out section. What SolidWorks wants now is a reference point. At the moment, none of these are going to work. If I had a tangent line in here, and sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't, I'd be able to do it. And it seems like none of these will select. You can see the depth. What I would do is switch the preview on, then you can see that you're going to get what you want. Now, you don't have to select a reference point inside the circle, but you could select something like, let's say, this one here. There we go. So that's not within the ambit of the circle, but it's within the bounds of the circle, if that makes sense. So if I just delete that one and I select one over here, for instance, just use it does work, but it's not what you want. So make sure it's one that's going to give you a result that you like or that you want. And that's how that works. Okay, so I hope that resolves those issues. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.